I'm Kelsey from KPIstrategist.com, and I am super pumped to show you some of my top time-saving hacks for working with data in Google Sheets. Each of these tricks saves me hours each week since I work in here quite a bit. We are literally going to have a spreadsheet open and I will be showing you the actual how-tos. I plan to put out even more extensive live trainings in the future, so please subscribe to our email list if you want to stay informed. All right, let's do this. This might sound simple, but it saves me so much time. You know, the more you are moving data from one spreadsheet to another or one tab to another, copying and pasting, this really adds up. And so there are three key keyboard shortcuts that I want to talk about right now. You've probably already heard of Command C or Command V. And actually, I'm going to talk about these in the realm of a Mac computer. If you have a Windows computer, anytime I say Command, just replace that with the keystroke of Control. But anyways, I'm sure you have heard of Command C or Command V, but just to refresh you, so Command C is what you want to press together when as a shortcut for copying, and then Command V is the shortcut for pasting. And so oftentimes I'll use Command C and V pretty shortly, like next to each other. And this will all come into play as I show you the actual next trick. So the next trick you may not have heard of. I didn't hear about this one for a while, and when I did, I was super thankful to the person that showed me how to do this. So what this is Shift plus Command plus the down arrow, for example, will actually highlight all of your data, and I'll show you this visually in a second. This also works for any other direction. So whether you're going down, up, right or left. So you can also highlight an entire row and use it that, or column and use it that way as well. So I will show you that real quick. Let's say that I want to get all of this data quickly, and I don't want to sit here and drag all the way over. So what I'm going to do is select the first cell that I want to start with, and then you're going to do your Shift Command, and then the down arrow is what automatically moves it all the way down. So as you can see, I did not drag that, but rather I did those three keystrokes to move it down. You can also combine the down with the right in this case. So I'll show you that real quick. So I'm going to do Shift Command down and then the right arrow. And as you can see, it highlighted all of the data. And so what's lovely about that is I can then combine this with my Command C and then go over to my new tab and do Command V. So now we have all our data in the new spot. Isn't that super nifty? That saves me so much time. It sounds like a mouthful, but if you can just, rewind the video a little bit and study this page right here, even feel free to take a quick screenshot of it. But if you want to study and practice this, it'll save you so much time in the long run. All right, the next data trick that I want to show you is called split text. And if you ever need a refresher on this, if you just remember to Google the term split text, there will be other instructions on this, but always feel free to refer back to this video as well. Split text is useful anytime you have a whole bunch of data in one cell that you want to be split into multiple columns. So in this example, you can see they've got Dr. Martens, and then they've got this down slash, and then, you know, the type of boot that it is, another down slash, the like another type and color. Like there's all sorts of data in just this one cell, and we want to split that out because having each of these I'll call it like data descriptors. Having each of these descriptors or descriptions in separate columns just allows us to do better pivot tables and visualizations on top of that. So there are actually two ways to do this, and so I'm going to show you both of those ways. So the first is just a where you use this, you actually name the indicator or where it should start splitting off. And this will make much more sense when I actually show you. So what you want to do is click and highlight all of the data that this applies to. So as you can see, I have all of the data selected for which I want to do the split. Then you're going to go to the top menu and click on data. And then towards the bottom, there's this split text to columns. So when you choose that, you'll see down here, there's this gray separator box. Detect automatically. It's nice because sometimes it will guess, and if you're unsure, you could try that. But I already know that I want it to be this downline thing, and I need to look up the name of that. But in this case, I would choose custom, and then you're going to type in there the item that it's doing, and it'll even give you this nice preview. So for example, if I delete that out and put something else, it actually puts it back together. So it's nice because you could kind of try different things and preview it. So then if you click out of there, that just accepts what you just did. And so now, as you can see, we've got some nice, like some more ways to distinguish between the data. Now, as you can see, some of this is not perfect, especially over here where this multi-eyelets got broken off, but it's at least a lot better than what it was before. And so you could continue to do different splits depending on what you're working with. So for example, like this dash might be another place. All right, so the second way to split text is if you have a straight line down a certain part of all of the data. So here you can see a consistency where Vans, you know, all of the data has this commonality of Vans, like we can split it right after the word Vans. And so for that, you would highlight it as well, and then you would go to data, split text to columns. Because it already recognizes this, it's defaulting to the detect automatically. And so then here, you know, in this case, we just wanted to know that it was Vans. All right, the next trick I want to show you is called concatenate. Sometimes they call it concatenation, but either way, this is how it works. So it is actually the opposite of what we just talked about with splitting. It's where you actually want to put two columns or data points together. And so I'll show you this here and it'll make more sense. But in this case, let's say we have, you know, this list of numbers, and it's actually invoice numbers, and we want to do some more formatting to it for presentation purposes. So let's say we want to put a number sign on it. So one way that you could do this is just copy them down to where you have them next to each other. And then you're going to come over here and say equals concatenate, open parentheses. So it's basically with each thing, you're going to tell it what you want next, and then you're going to put a comma and tell it what you want next and put a comma. So for example, I want the number sign to be first. So I'm going to put the number sign. I'm going to click here to reference cell B7, and then I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to click here to reference cell A7. So then you close the parentheses and you hit enter. So as you can see, when I copy Control C and Control V, this formula all the way down, you can see that I have these put together. Now, if you were to go paste this information onto another tab, that could be troublesome if you don't fix this number. So what I like to do to fix this number is copy and then paste special values. And it depends what application you're using this in. Sometimes you want to leave the formula so that it continues to auto-calculate the more you put data below. But in this case, I'm just completely wanting to remove the formulas once I'm done and move it over to another tab or sheet. And so I wanted to, as you can see, when I'm clicking on these cells, these numbers are now like what I call static. They're not going to change when you move them around or copy and paste them elsewhere. So that is my main trick with concatenation. The final trick that I want to show you for today has to do with what we call a Vlookup. This one is especially powerful when you have data in one tab or spot and you want to reference data from another table. This is a way to It's kind of a way to hack Google Sheets a bit and make it act a little bit more like a database, in the sense that one tab houses what we call in database world the primary key, and then the other tab has other data associated with that primary key that we want to bring in next to it. And again, I'm just going to show you in practice because this is where I tend to connect with this more. So the Vlookup is useful, again, when you want to reference information from another tab or table. Typically, this reference table is in the day-to-day, it's in another tab, but for purposes of this video, I wanted to just show this all to you on one screen so that it was easier to follow what was going on. So again, this is especially handy when wanting to pull data from another spot. So in this example over here, let's say that I have, and actually this is how it was before. Let's say that I have this information where I've got these SKU numbers with prices on them, but I really want to understand more. Like, I don't know, I'm not an inventory person. I don't know what these SKU numbers, or I'm not a warehouse. I'm not like working in the warehouse. I just want some data insights. So I'm not going to have all these SKU numbers memorized. So I want to pull in the line item name, for example. And so what we're going to do is bring the name in here. So I'm just going to paste this title over here because we're creating, like, this is the new insightful table that we will be building visualizations off of in the future, for example. And so I really just want these names next to these prices so that I can roll them up, for example. So how you do a VLOOKUP is you do equal and then type in VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and so the first value or the first item in here is the value upon which you are looking up. And so I'm going to select this A7, and then you do a comma, and the next thing that you select is the actual entire reference table. So it's referencing this table when doing the lookup, and then another comma. So now the next thing you put is like, think of this in columns. So this line item in the reference table, column 1 is this line item SKU. Column 2 is the line item name, and column 3 is this taxable field. Since we want the line item name, we're going to say 2. And something worth pointing out here is for VLOOKUPs to work, you have to have your lookup value to the left of any other things that you're trying to pull in. It wouldn't work if line item SKU was over in column L and then you were trying to go the other way to look up columns J and K, where they're currently at. And then finally, you're going to type false in here. And so it's funny. Some people will just say always type in false, not really telling you why. But what the false means is, so most times false is recommended. I think that's why people just say always put false. I can't even think of a time that I've actually legit needed to use true. True has to do with if there's any sorting involved. And in this case, I like the suggested autofill, so I'm going to accept that. And as you can see, it filled them in with the names. And then how we can check that is we could just do a quick random check here. But as you can see, this NK02 black-4, if I come over here and look that up, you can see that it looked up the Nike toddler shoe. And so the VLOOKUP worked correctly. That was so great. I'm excited we got to do that together. You have invested some time now that will pay in dividends the more you work with data over time. Also, if you got value from this video, I would so appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up, because I literally created this examples just for you in this video so that you and others could get the most out of it. Also, please subscribe if you want to see future related content. Thank you and take care.